donuts. We are all social distancing, keeping safe in our vehicles. And I'm in my car. I'm in a 2002 Toyota Highlander with 130,000 miles on it.
I'm Rob Carlson. I'm in a 2010 Pilot.
Oh,
51,000 miles in it. And it is one of the hottest pilots you ever are going to see.
All right.
Come on.
Well, I'm Brandon Beals. I am driving a 2005 Audi A4 that I'm waiting patiently to trade in and replace it with something cool.
And I'm Morgan Butcher, and I'm driving a 2007 V-Dub Jetta that almost exploded on me last week, but I got some new oil in it, and I also am waiting to trade it in for something that's cooler.
My goodness, I got the newest car. That's unbelievable.
you know what, Morgan? No one is going to accept your trade offer if you try to trade that in somewhere.
I'm looking to make a John Schneider kind of trade. You know, something out of nowhere. No one's going to accept it.
So you're going to give up your first-round draft pick, your car, for a fourth-round draft pick, is what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
That's relevant, man. That's what's happening tomorrow.
We're getting ready for it.
Are you aware that I had tickets to the NFL draft in Vegas, that a friend of mine works for the Seahawks and had given me 2 tickets? It was like a dream come true, but instead I'm sitting in my car talking to you guys.
You're welcome.
This is one of your big honors. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Sorry, you get to hang out with us.
I want to introduce you to my dog, Rex. Everybody see my dog, Rex, here?
That's a good-looking dog. What kind of dog is that?
Rex is a English cream golden retriever. He's 8 months old and weighs 80 pounds.
Wow.
He's a big boy.
Does Rex know any tricks?
You know, he can lay down and sit and maul me. He's into the puppy biting, so there's lots of puppy biting, lots of mauling. He likes to chase rabbits and squirrels, and so with me at the end of the leash, it's a real fight to see who's going to win.
So does your wife like the dog better than she likes you now?
Definitely. Yeah. That kicked in almost immediately.
Has he started eating your house like my dogs are eating my house?
Yeah, I've got carpet repair work. But the worst part, Brandon, is my arms are all scabbed over from fighting and biting. We've been doing hand-to-hand combat.
So, Brandon, how old are your dogs?
They are 2.
Right. And how old is your dog, Pastor Rob?
8 months old. And Brandon thinks he's the fight pastor. But if you guys saw me and Rex, you would call me the fight pastor.
Oh, shots fired.
Well,
It's hand.
you know, Pastor Rob is a lead pastor here in the Everett area, and Pastor Rob has a lot of history with Pastor Brandon. Longtime friends, work together. Now, Pastor Rob, tell us, how did you meet Brandon Beals, and how did that all happen?
You know, that goes back a few years, doesn't it, Brandon? Good grief. You know, the truth be known is we hired Brandon at BCA as our youth pastor, but as Brandon and I have talked many times through the years, it was just really a ruse to get his wife Di on staff.
It's very true.
And you know, as awesome as Brandon is, it's all about Di.
So awesome.
The funny thing is they laugh, but they're like deep down inside thinking, seriously, we like Brandon, but we couldn't take him without Di.
Well, actually, what I'm thinking is that might be the story of my life, too. So I don't think I'm that far off.
Brandon, you'll remember this. The biggest challenges of church work, you know, way back then was all about wearing hats in church and earrings. You remember that era?
Oh, yes, absolutely. As it's fun watching you wear a hat right now.
I'm
You've
wearing
gotten
a
in so much trouble.
hat. You know, I don't have an earring, but I probably should get one.
So one of my favorite stories with you is, and you didn't tell me this until like 6 months after you'd hired me.
Yeah.
You told me that one of my mentors, Mel Ming, advised you not to hire me because I had long hair and an earring, and he didn't think I would fit the BCA culture. But I had taken out my earring and cut my hair before I interviewed because I was smart.
That is too funny. You know, there seems to be more important things right now, like, you know, pandemics and Jesus and things of that nature. But yeah, that was a different era. That was a funny era.
Just little.
So the funny thing is, Brandon, you developed a youth ministry that I still look back on. And I remember we were trying to change culture here at BCA. And I remember thinking to myself, you know, we're going to just saddle up this youth ministry and Pastor Brandon's enthusiasm. We're going to just ride this thing as we try to help our church think more outreach focused. And, you know, I look back on that with great favor as being awesome days where we were able to really change the culture of our church. Because you had that youth ministry flying. That thing was explosive.
Yeah, those were some of my most fond memories of those days.
Now, do you still do power team activities at church?
Like, do I personally do power team feats?
Yeah, breaking bricks with your head.
Wait,
things like
Brandon did power team?
Oh man, he was cutting edge, buddy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, when we were doing power team with the youth ministry, Brandon came in and guessed he was a guest and he broke some bricks one night. Remember that, Tony?
I do now.
Hyped all the students up. Got some
Obviously,
hardcore metal music on.
Obviously, I don't remember it that well. I mean, it must have gone well.
So my
And they
question
broke.
is, can Tony break bricks?
I could break 2. I've broken 2. I also broke my forearm almost doing it. So
Right. Yeah.
win-win.
Oh,
Actually,
okay. I
pretty
have
impressive.
to tell one BCA story with Rob.
What's that?
Can I tell one BCA story without getting you in trouble?
Go for it.
So back in the day, that dog is so adorable. So back in the day when we first started, we had Sunday night services, and no one would go to those Sunday night services. But I was required to go, so I started making my youth leaders go. And the weirdest things would happen at the Sunday night services. My favorite story to tell people is one day Rollin is up there speaking, and he was doing a message. And I remember it was a 2-part sermon that had 26 points, a 26-point sermon on a Sunday night. I don't know what else to say about
me. That was my dad. Make sure you make that point.
So while he was in the middle of his 26-point sermon, a random guy ran up on the platform, shoved Rollin away, grabbed the microphone, and screamed, "I know who the Antichrist is." And immediately, like, deacons and ushers pounced on this guy and started dragging him out. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is the most exciting thing that's happened in a Sunday night service since I've been at this church. I want to know who it is. And so as the guy is getting drugged out of the auditorium, he yells, "It's Billy Crystal."
Whoa.
You remember that, Rob?
You know, there's been quite a few stories like that through the years. And so I actually don't remember all of that, but I do remember it vaguely. Yeah. My sermons are only 22 points, though.
Okay, well, that's good.
I've tried to bring him down just a little bit.
For what it was
a lot
not
of
a bad
crazy stories
26-point
back
sermon.
A lot of crazy stories back in the day. Back to the power team. I remember the power team would rip Seattle phone books, but Brandon would rip Cleellum phone books. It was awesome, man. All 4
How many
pages.
numbers?
Dude, just got roasted.
It was a bit. It was actually a bit that we did. Oh, I forgot about that.
How many numbers were in that phone book? Like 5?
I think it had 2 pages.
Now, Pastor
Hi
Rob,
there. Can I get the?
are you serious?
apple fritter. Yeah. Thank you.
This guy's.
Can you get a Valley Girl lemon too, Morgan?
Sure, I'll get you one.
And an apple fritter.
Actually, can we get 2 apple fritters and a lemon Valley Girl, whatever the Valley Girl one is?
Yeah. Yeah, the
Last one.
Perfect timing.
Now, Pastor Rob, you talk about how you've known Pastor Brandon for all these years. Was there ever a moment in his youth ministry days? Because, being a youth pastor, I've said and done a lot of things that probably have made people around the table cringe. Now, was there ever a moment he made maybe you guys cringe, or you guys just have to shake your head or something like that?
If the truth be known, there's too many for me to articulate.
The dog agrees.
I could keep you on here for hours. It's unbelievable. Those were interesting days where there were a lot of feelings from people on how to do church. Remember that, Brandon? A lot of different opinions.
Yes, it was also the revival days too.
It was impossible keeping everybody happy, so everybody had a different idea. But the truth be known, our youth ministry back then was really a huge blessing to our church and moving things forward. So even though there might have been a few cringe moments, I look back with fondness. So there are a few stories that we won't share in this particular venue.
Thanks.
Yeah, I always tell people that when I look back at things I did at BCA, it is a miracle that I never got fired. So I guess I would say in front of you and the 20 viewers that we have, thanks for not firing me, because it could have ended my entire ministry career for some of the boneheaded decisions that I made.
Oh, we had fun, man. It was a fun era. I look back on it with a lot of laughter, and there were some great stories. You remember a few of those stories that are quite funny. And,
yeah, I can tell. Can I tell another Rob story, Tony? Do you mind?
Last one, and we got to roll.
Okay, so Rob is officially the hardest working pastor I've ever worked with in my life. I've never seen anyone that works harder than Rob. So it was my annual review time, and at BCA, this was kind of a big deal. It's very formal. We had to come in, share our vision for the next year, and all of these different things. Morgan, what are you doing? Oh, there we go.
Sorry, I dropped your donut on the ground when they tried to hand it to me, so it's all wet.
All right. I'll give that one to Tony. So I went into my annual review ready to share my vision for the next year and to hear how I was doing. And while I'm talking to Rob, he is honestly dozing off. Like he's falling asleep. And then I noticed that Rob back in the day, you knew a Carlson because their hair was this Carlson hairdo. Like him and his dad and all of his brothers, they all had the exact same hairdo. And his hair was all messed up. And the entire time I knew him, he was always very cleanly shaven. But he had he had Morgan facial hair. And I looked at him and I said, Rob, is something the matter? And this is honestly what he told me. He said, I got really busy working on a project. He said, and then I realized it was 3 a.m. He said, so I decided to just go ahead and work through the night. He goes, so I just haven't slept in 2 days. That's the person that I used to work for. He would work for 2 days straight in the office.
I actually stayed up all night praying about that review because it was a tough one.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I didn't get a raise. I do remember that.
Rob, he tells that story all the time. It's like one of his favorite stories about BC.
It's his go-to, huh?
What's the irony about that story, Pastor Rob, is I think back in August, I shared the same type of pep talk with the entire church staff about the revival youth ministry is going to see. I'm pretty sure Pastor Brandon was on Instagram or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Just maybe, huh?
I don't know.
I was taking notes on my phone.
Oh, there it is. Well, hey, Pastor Rob, we can't thank you enough for being with us.
It's fun, guys.
Hey, we'd love to have you again sometime. I know you guys have so many stories. So, and you could bring your dog. What, Rex, was it?
Rex, R-E-X-X. Rex.
Ooh, double X.
Why the 2 X's?
You know, it's kind of a funny story. We have a few pets, and they all relate to software names. So my wife has Pearl and Java, the rabbits, and this is Rex, the dog. So she gets naming rights.
Man.
I clean up the yard. She gets to name them.
Well, folks, there it is. Pastors and Cars Getting Donuts with special guest Rob Carlson. Pastor Rob, can't thank you enough. Hey, we'll see you guys again for next week's episode.
This is fun. Thanks, guys.
See you, Pastor
Rob.
Bye.